All right, welcome back. Let's continue the conversation. I'm now being joined on the program by Onyekachi Ubani, who, of course, is a lawyer and used to be the second vice president of the Nigeria Bar Association. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us on the program. Let me start by asking you what you make of the outcome of the Southern Governors Forum a meeting held in Asaba last week.
Well, I think it is a practical step that the governors have taken, having realized the reality that is clearly on ground. Nigeria has become probably not the kind of dream that everyone or our forefathers would have wanted. You know, the issue of state of insecurity and the kind of thing that is happening in terms of governance, you know, should get everyone thinking outside the box in order to provide a more practical solution of what to do. You know, so what they did is to ask the federal government at the federal level to consider some of the things that they should do in order to address some of the pressing problem that is cropping up in the polity, which is not clearly for the health of the nation. And the moment those issues are addressed, we can get at a point where we should be as a nation. I mean, talking about the issue of state of insecurity, we keep on hearing about people dying and being killed every day. There is no particular region that is safe presently. If you look at the northeast, the northwest, the north central, the southeast of, you know, generally either southeast or southwest or south, there has been issue of
because this problem we have is all over. Don't you think the governors, rather than speak on this, what I would call, you know, on a platform of Southern Governors Forum, you know, Northern Governors Forum and what have you, don't you think the governors should come together and speak, for instance, under the platform of the Governors Forum? I mean, there is a Governors Forum for the country, I mean, that they came up with. Should they be speaking on different platforms like that? Because the idea is that if you are promoting unity and you want to promote oneness, why speak under these different names? I mean, now you've had the Southern Governors Forum, they've come out with their own resolution. So later the Northern Governors Forum will meet. Later you would have the PDP Governors Forum, the APC Governors Forum. Is this helpful at this time to be having this different segments of, you know, the governors speaking? Why is it not possible for them to come together as a Governors Forum and speak?
Well, I'm not holding fault for the governors. What you've just said makes a lot of sense if they all come together as a governors forum burden on the entire federation. But I also think that there are peculiar things that the South need to actually address, especially with regards to some of the things that this present government has done in terms of appointment, in terms of this open grazing. They need to take a common position about it. They need to come together first and foremost and take a common position
because the whole idea, sorry to interject you, because the whole idea is that, look, some of these decisions that the Southern Governors Forum raised, the truth is that it would have made better sense if they had all come together as a Governors Forum, so that way they'll be able to interact among themselves across political divides and across a regional divide as well, so that it doesn't come across as a Southern agenda, so to speak.
Well, DEJI, as I said earlier, I'm not the spokesperson for the governors that are from the South, but I also think that charity begins at home. If there are issues you want to put, you know, at the national level, I mean, you first of all start from your home, you strategize, and probably before you bring it to the national forum, the governors and in the North have also been meeting, you know, to address some of the problems that are very peculiar to the northern region, and most times they also push those issues at the national level. So first and foremost, charity begins at home. If there are issues that are very peculiar to the South, I don't see anything wrong fundamentally for the Southern governors to first of all meet, sit and agree. And of course, if you see that meeting, it is across political line, I mean, religious line, and I mean, people from different religious background, people from tribal background, people from different political parties came together to actually address the issue. Most times we've seen that the northern governors have not been forthcoming with the issue of restructuring Nigeria, and then they've been seeing it as something that is clearly suicidal. But it's also very important that the South have a common position with the issue of restructuring Nigeria for efficiency. It's also important they have a common issue as to the issue of open grazing. They also they have a common understanding as to how this spate of insecurity in the South can be tackled, and then push it at the national level. So I don't see anything fundamentally defective in what they have done. But I also think they can now push these things at the national level. It's not parochial. They can meet first and foremost, agree among themselves over things that are very peculiar, to their region, and then push it at the national forum as an agenda. So I don't see. But as I said earlier, I'm not their spokesperson. They should be able to answer why they first of all meet as Southern governors at the forum before probably now pushing it at the national agenda as a national matter. But I think that the most important thing is that there are issues that are peculiar to the South that they needed to sit down and address, and then at the end of the day, they will be able to push it at the national forum.
Let me ask you, what's your take on this issue of state police? I mean, that the governors are actually calling for.
Well, before now, the governors never believed in the issue of creation of state policing. They were against it. They didn't see the necessity for it, and some of them opposed it. But some of us from the beginning have been singing the song that the only way we can ensure protection of lives and property in Nigeria is the issue of creation of state policing. We have believed in it. We have argued about it from beginning, that it is an issue of security is a bit local, that we should, if the local government area in this country begin to man all their environment at the local government level, the state at their own state level, and then the federal will become safer. But the point is that today, the primary responsibility of the local government has actually been hindered by the governor's interference with the resources that are supposed to be used by the local government.
For instance, the restructuring that the governors are talking about should actually begin from them?
I agree with you. Who comes to equity must come with clean hand. Most of the times, the governors are not interested in granting what you call financial autonomy to the local government authorities. They've been meddling with the finances of the local government, and I've been singing it all over. From how many years now? I've been singing the song that if we really want good governance in this country, let us address some of the fundamental defects, that actually visible in our political system. And one of them is the issue of interference of local government allocation by the governors. The governors interfere with the money that goes to judiciary. They interfere with the money that goes to the House of Assembly. So we must address those issues. And that if we are sincere, part of the problem that this country is facing today is created by our state governors from various since 1999 to date. If they have allowed local government to operate, have allowed other arms of government to actually operate independently the way it's supposed to, Nigerians would have been singing a good song today as to issue of good governance and issue of dividends of democracy. We are not getting it. So as much as I agree that they can come together and do what they have done, but charity begins at home, we must begin to point out to the governors that the one becoming a hindrance, they becoming a hinder, that they are bringing a sort of a stall in the process of allowing good administration in Nigeria. Allow local government to operate independently.
As we speak today,
if they do, this issue of
because also the governors have refused to give judicial autonomy to the judiciary in their states.
Yes, financial autonomy. Yes, I agree with you. They are on strike. Even the parliamentarian staff, are also on strike because of the fact that they have not been granted their financial autonomy. So, charity begins at home. Let them also agree that they must allow other arms of government to operate independently and efficiently for the benefit of the people. Much as I agree that most of the issues that these southern governors raise are issues that I think that this present government, should address, especially on the issue of restructuring at the federal level. The issue of state policing is a constitutional issue, and they should
one thing I want to also ask you is this: it's good that the governors are talking about restructuring, but it's one thing to say you've passed a legislation to restructure. It's a different thing to implement it, and that's what we're seeing with the judiciary, the local government that you talked about. As a matter of fact, at some point, the president had to promulgate an executive order that didn't go down well with the governors, even when the president threatened he was going to be taking money directly from source and remit to the local government areas. Now, it didn't go down well with the governors. So how do we deal with this issue where even when you have a legislation in place, the legislation is not being followed?
Yeah, you know what the Houston people did? They've been on strike now for 2 months. It's quite a painful, issue for those who practice law by going to court. Litigation lawyers, they've been out of business for almost 2 months now. Quite painful, but it is clearly something that is necessary if we really want administration of justice, that is clearly efficient and fair. Where judges will deliver judgment without looking at their back, then we need to insist on financial autonomy. And I want to commend the Houston workers who have been on strike for 2 months, insisting on the right thing being done. And I believe what they have done this time around, everyone is really running helter-skelter in order to implement it. Now, they say they're not going to call off the strike until they see the full implementation of financial autonomy for judiciary. And I agree with them. It's painful. Lawyers are suffering, but it is something that all of us will benefit at the end of the day. Let's have administration of justice that is efficient, that is clearly effective, that does deliver judgment both to the poor, to the rich, without looking at any person's face, whether the person is happy or not happy and all that. So I think that is the way. Yeah, making laws are good. We have so many good laws, but the issue of implementation. But I think that the only thing, the language that the government understands is language of force. And I think that every person, including the workers at the local government level, I would advise them to also sit down and declare strike that they will paralyze activity at the local government level until financial autonomy is given to them. This issue of state joint account, these guys are meddling with the money that come to the local government. I've been saying it, that the only way we can get effective administration in Nigeria is from the state level, where the governors are not interfering with local government money, they're not interfering with judicial money, they're not interfering with the parliamentarian, they're also interfering with the issue of security vote. These are areas they use to really keep this country totally retarded, that no progress is being made. So much as they're addressing this issue to the federal level, they must also address the issue that concern them, that are very local, which has actually retarded development and has not made Nigeria to move forward. Part of the problem of this country, 80% of it are really caused by the governors. I'm just telling you this. And if you look at, there are those ones who are working. There are those who are working. I won't like to mention them, but there are many of them that are not working. What they're interested in is taking the money out of the system without commensurate allowing the other arms of government, other strata of government to work, especially local government. The day we get it right with local government administration, the issue of instead of insecurity will vanish, because security is local. Let local government chairmen control their environment, control their local government area in terms of providing security. The same thing at the state level before the federal. But everything is hip on federal because of the kind of federalism we're operating. We are running our over centralized governance that is not helping Nigeria to make progress. We are saying allow the local government to work, allow the states to work, and allow federal government to work. But most importantly is that the people must be alert to ensure that whatever law is being enacted is being obeyed by every political elite. That's the only way for us to go. If they don't want to obey, then go on strike and paralyze the government until they listen to you.
Mr. Ubani, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for joining us on the program.
DEJI, it's always my pleasure. It's always my pleasure being always invited to talk to you at television.
All right, thanks a lot. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On DEJI360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians are saying in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, and use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
DEJI360, dissecting the issues.